Now, this is probably a bit of a weird one, but welcome back anyway. I want to talk about something that I've seen a lot of people on Reddit, on forums, on Discords, complaining about the same thing, and you might be experiencing it yourself, and that's the tank drought or the tank shortage, whatever you want to call it. Now, to say we're quite early on in the expansion, I'm quite surprised by this, especially with there should have been a spike in paladins, in protection paladins. So actually, we should have more tanks now, and how strong feral tanks are in comparison to what they were in Classic. So we've probably got a lot of druids that have re-rolled to feral and to bears, specifically. So the fact that we're seeing tank shortages for 5-mans mainly, I'm sure every guild's got people, that they're not struggling for tanks. But in 5-mans heroics, trying to get your daily heroic done, all I see is spam, just like, looking for one more tank, looking for one more tank. I never see tank looking for group. It's just not happening. Now, what I put this down to, really, is... Oh, before we get any further, obviously make sure you like and subscribe and check out SJ Gaming Live. Links in the description below. That's my live streaming YouTube channel. You don't want to miss all the new games, playing a bit of Ashes of Creation, New World, etc. But anyway, so I think it's this... I think we're getting into this predicament because... I do feel the population's dropping off a little bit, and I know these other games, especially like Final Fantasy 14, which everyone's raving about at the moment, people are being drawn to these other games, and I don't know why. I'd like to sit here and give you reasons why, as in, because they've added cash shops and all of this stuff, but I genuinely don't think it's that. I feel like TBC it was hyped up a lot, and everyone was like really super excited, and I feel like it's dropped off just as quick as the hype built up. Even the server's not quite as busy, it seems, on our server. Shatraf was lagging more or less 24 hours a day just because there was that many people there all the time. Now, it's not empty, but it's certainly not teeming with life. So I genuinely think that maybe it could be the way the phases have handled. I mean, if I was going to give you a specific example, I think it is genuinely that there's a lack of content. Everyone knows all you've got raiding wise, outside of PvP. Okay, Season 1, Season 2, blah, blah, blah. All you PvPers, you're probably happy because you don't really care about anything else. You've got your partners that you do arena with, so you're in your own little world. What's going on around you doesn't really matter, other than the PvP scene. We've got groups of people that are sat for like upwards of an hour trying to find a tank to actually do a 5-man, which is quite sad to see. Now, could this be a good time for Blizzard to implement the LFG tool? And please don't start hating in the comments. I don't mean the dungeon finder tool. So I do not mean where you queue yourself and you instantly get matched to a group. Not the retail one. The LFG tool, where you list yourself or your group that you're looking for a group or you're looking for more. It's something that should have been in now. It should have been in Phase 1, but hasn't made it in. So obviously they're doing these changes like same faction battlegrounds, so PvPers haven't got to be, sitting in a queue for 40 minutes to an hour before they can get into a battleground. But what about the PvE side, the groups that can't find a tank because people are either just raid logging now because that's all they've got left to do is just raid log, or they can't be bothered to really do a great deal until Phase 2 gets announced because they know they can log on a Wednesday, or they might log on once a day maybe to even do the heroic. But due to the lack of really, I want to say, sort of required loot, from badges, there's not that much. You might be getting some resistance sets ready for Tier 5, possibly, which you should be doing anyway, obviously. But there's not, once you've got your trinket or maybe your neck or your ring or whatever, there's not that much from badges that makes you need to keep going back to do heroics outside of doing your trials for your attunement to TK. So I just don't think there's enough emphasis on reasons to go and do the tier 4 or the Phase 1 dungeon content. And tanks, they're always going to get geared the quickest. The majority of guilds funnel loot to their tanks. Because if their tanks die, they can't continue the boss fight. So tanks always get geared the quickest. But there's just a drought. There's a shortage, and it's quite worrying. And I'm not saying, just because I'm playing Final Fantasy and Ashes of Creation, all these things, that it's like, quick, I'm being a doomsayer when it comes to World of Warcraft, because I'm not in the slightest. Obviously, I've been on WoW this morning, and I'll be on WoW this evening, and I log on pretty much every day. But even me, as a feral druid, I can't be bothered to tank heroics because I don't need anything from them. I would be going quite literally for nothing, which that's a shame. And I think something needs to be done. You know, even if it was in phase 2, we actually brought forward, like, I don't know, some extra badge gear, or put in some extra gear for, you know, from phase 4, dare I say it. I know that's a long way away, and it could be quite a spike in power, but when I compare the tier 5 raiding gear actually to the badge gear that comes in or will come in phase 4 with Zola Man, they're pretty much on par. There's not massive amounts of difference, you know. So potentially that could be something to keep people doing 5-mans. But at the moment, trying to get a group, everybody's complaining about it. I mean, let me know your thoughts. What do you think? Why is there a shortage of tanks already? We're just over a month in, or 5-6 weeks in, you know, and we're already struggling to get 5-man groups. Or, from what I'm hearing, we're struggling to get 5-man groups. Let me know if you are. If you like this little ranty video, make sure you like and subscribe, and I'll see you on the next one.